There is a reason you are still awake right now. Not scrolling mindlessly. Not drifting into sleep like every other night. Though something held you here. Something interrupted your routine. Something nudged your spirit just enough to pause and look at this message. And you may try to brush it off, telling yourself it's nothing. But deep inside, there's a quiet pull you cannot explain. That pull is not random. That pull is not coincidence. That pull is a call. Archangel Michael is not a voice that echoes without purpose. When he speaks, something is already in motion. When his presence draws near, it is because heaven has marked a moment, and this moment is yours. You were about to sleep. You were about to close your eyes, to surrender your awareness, to step into the unknown realm of dreams. But before you do, this message found you, and that alone should make you pause, because not everyone receives a warning before the night begins. Not everyone is intercepted before rest. Not everyone is called before something shifts. And yet you were. Have you noticed it lately? That strange heaviness, some nights, restless thoughts that seem louder when everything goes quiet, the feeling that something is just slightly off. Even when nothing is visibly wrong, you try to ignore it. You try to distract yourself. But when the lights go out, it returns. That is not your imagination. That is awareness knocking at the door of your spirit. And tonight that door has been opened. Archangel Michael stands not in fear, but in authority. Not to alarm you, but to prepare you. Because there are moments when the night carries more than rest. It carries messages, movements, and unseen activity that your physical eyes cannot perceive. And this is one of those nights. You were not meant to enter sleep casually tonight. You were not meant to drift off without clarity. Because something is aligning, something is shifting, something is preparing to unfold, and if you enter this night unaware, you may wake up confused by what you feel tomorrow. But if you listen now, if you receive this message fully, you will not only rest, you will be ready. There is a reason this came before your sleep. There is a reason the timing feels urgent. There is a reason your spirit feels alert even as your body grows tired. Because heaven does not interrupt without intention. And tonight you are being positioned. Positioned between what was and what is about to be. Positioned between confusion and clarity. Positioned between vulnerability and divine protection. So do not rush past this moment. Do not treat this like just another message. Because something in you already knows this is different. This is the midnight call you were not expecting, but desperately needed. And as you stand at the edge of sleep, Archangel Michael's voice echoes with quiet authority. Do not close your eyes without understanding what is being set in motion tonight. Stay with this. Listen closely. Because what comes next will change the way you enter this night. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1717 is now surrounding you. There is something sacred about the moments just before you fall asleep, something most people overlook, rush through, or completely ignore. But heaven does not ignore it. Heaven watches it closely. Because the space between wakefulness and sleep is not empty. It is a doorway. A thin, powerful threshold where your spirit becomes more open than at any other time of the day. And tonight, that doorway matters more than you realize. All day long, your mind has been surrounded by noise. Conversations, distractions, responsibilities, emotions, information. Layer after layer filling your thoughts, shaping your focus, and pulling your attention in 100 different directions. But when night comes, when everything quiets down and the world slows its pace, something shifts inside you. Your guard lowers. Your thoughts soften. Your spirit becomes more receptive. That is why this moment is so important. Because what enters your mind before sleep does not just stay in your mind. It travels deeper. It sinks into your spirit. It settles into your subconscious. It begins to shape what you will feel, what you will dream, and even how you will wake up. And most people are completely unaware of this. They fall asleep carrying stress. They drift off replaying fear. They close their eyes with confusion, doubt, or unresolved tension still lingering inside them. And then they wonder why they wake up heavy, why their energy feels drained, why their clarity seems clouded the next day. But you are being stopped before that happens. Because Archangel Michael understands something many do not. The moments before sleep are not passive. They are powerful. They are not empty. They are active. And tonight, that spiritual window is open wider than usual. Have you felt it? That unusual stillness around you. That subtle awareness that something is different tonight. That quiet sense that you are not just preparing for sleep but for something more. That feeling is real. Because when the body begins to rest, the spirit begins to rise. And in that rising, things can happen. Messages can be received. Clarity can be revealed. Protection can be activated. But only if you enter this window with awareness instead of distraction. This is why you were told to open this message before you sleep. Not after. Not tomorrow. Not when it's convenient. No. Because something is aligning with your name attached to it. Something that requires your spirit to be in the right position before you close your eyes tonight. Archangel Michael is not speaking randomly. His timing is precise. His instruction is intentional. He knows that if you enter this night unaware, you may miss what heaven is trying to establish for you. But if you align yourself, now if you become conscious of this moment, if you quiet the noise and listen, then this night will not be ordinary for you. It will be transformative. There is a reason ancient spiritual traditions have always treated the night as sacred. Not because of darkness, but because of access. The access your spirit has when the physical world becomes still. The access heaven has to reach you when your mind is no longer resisting, no longer analyzing, no longer distracted. And tonight that access is being used. But here is what you must understand. Not everything that enters this window is meant for your good. This is why awareness is critical. Because just as peace can enter, so can disturbance. Just as clarity can be planted, so can confusion. If you are not intentional about what you allow into your spirit before sleep. This is where many people lose their power without realizing it. They allow the wrong thoughts to settle. They carry the wrong emotions into rest. They surrender their peace right before closing their eyes. And by the time they wake up, they feel disconnected and unsettled, and unsure why. But tonight you are not stepping into that pattern. Tonight, you are being guided. Guided to pause. Guided to recognize the weight of this moment. Guided to understand that what you do right now, what you think, what you focus on, what you receive, will shape what unfolds in the hours ahead. Because this is not just about sleep. This is about alignment. Alignment between your spirit and what heaven is preparing. Alignment between your awareness and what is being released. Alignment between your peace and the protection being placed over you. So before you close your eyes, stay here for a moment longer. Let your thoughts settle. Let your spirit become still. Because the window is open and what comes next will determine how you walk into tomorrow. Archangel Michael is watching this moment closely. And so should you. Type "I align before I sleep" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2222 is now activated around your rest. There is a reason the message carried urgency. Landiento suggestion. Not casual advice. urgency. Because something is already in motion around you, and whether you realize it or not, you are standing at a critical point where awareness will determine outcome. Archangel Michael does not interrupt lightly. His presence signals movement in the unseen, a shift that has already begun to unfold beyond what your physical senses can detect. And tonight, his warning is clear. Do not enter this night unguarded. Do not surrender your awareness, and do not ignore what your spirit has already been trying to tell you. You have felt it. That subtle tension you could not explain. That feeling that something is changing, even if nothing around you looks different. The quiet alertness in your spirit that has been growing stronger over the past few days. You tried to push it aside. You told yourself it was just stress, just overthinking, just fatigue. But it kept returning, and kept whispering. It kept nudging you in moments of silence. That was not random. That was a signal. Because something has been forming beneath the surface of your life. Not to harm you, but to test your awareness. To test whether you will move blindly through routine or step into alignment with what heaven is revealing. And now, the moment has come where that awareness is no longer optional. Archangel Michael's warning is not rooted in fear. It is rooted in preparation. He is not here to disturb your peace. He is here to protect it. But protection requires participation. It requires you to listen. It requires you to recognize that tonight is not just another night. It is a turning point. There are patterns attempting to reattach themselves to your life. Old cycles that thought they still had access. Old thoughts that have been quietly resurfacing. Old emotions that have tried to slip back into your spirit unnoticed. And if you are not careful, you could carry them into this night and allow them to influence what unfolds next. But this is exactly why you were stopped. Because heaven is intervening before repetition becomes reality. Michael is standing as a guardian between you and what is trying to return. His warning is simple, but it carries weight. Do not go backward in your spirit tonight. Do not entertain what you have already outgrown. Do not reopen doors that were closed for your protection. This is where many lose ground without realizing it. They revisit thoughts they were freed from. They replay emotions they had already released. They allow doubt to creep in just before rest, not realizing that those moments are the most influential. And slowly, without awareness, they step back into cycles they were meant to leave behind. But not you. Not tonight. Because this message reached you in time. There is also something else you must understand. This is not only about what is trying to return, it is also about what is trying to begin. Because as much as there are forces attempting to pull you backward, there is also movement preparing to push you forward. And the two cannot coexist. This is why the tension feels real. This is why your spirit has felt pulled in different directions. Because you are standing between release and renewal. Between what was familiar and what is being formed. And your awareness in this moment will determine which direction you step into. Archangel Michael is not asking you to fight. He is asking you to stay aligned. To stay still enough to recognize what belongs and what does not. To stay grounded enough to reject what feels off, even if you cannot fully explain it yet. Because clarity does not always come as a loud answer. Sometimes it comes as a quiet knowing. A subtle shift. A sense of peace or discomfort that guides you without words. And tonight you must trust that. Do not dismiss what your spirit is sensing. Do not override your discernment to stay comfortable. Do not ignore the warning just because it is not visible. Because what is unseen is often what matters most. You are being positioned right now. Positioned to avoid something unnecessary. Positioned to step into something significant. positioned to move forward without carrying what was never meant to follow you into this next phase. But positioning requires response. It requires you to acknowledge this moment, to slow down, to listen, to understand that this is not interruption, it is protection. Archangel Michael's voice carries one final instruction in this warning: guard your spirit before you rest, and you will not wake in confusion. Hold on to that, because what you choose in this moment will echo into tomorrow. Type "I receive the warning" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3333 is now surrounding you. As this warning settles into your spirit, understand this: every time this message reaches another soul, a light is lit in a place that was once covered in confusion. This is not about supporting a channel. This is about fueling a mission that awakens hearts before it is too late. The word declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And this is not distant scripture. It is God speaking directly into your moment right now. I feel led to say this clearly: when you act, when you sow, you become part of the divine flow that carries truth to those still searching in darkness. The PayPal link in the description and the QR code on your screen are not just options. They are doors of obedience placed before you. What you release today becomes a seed that heaven multiplies beyond what your eyes can see. Do not hesitate in this moment. Step forward, sow with intention, and watch how God moves in response to your faith. There is a battle taking place right now, and it is not around you the way you might expect. It is not loud. It is not visible. It does not announce itself with chaos or dramatic signs. Instead, it moves quietly, strategically, through the one place most people fail to guard properly: your mind. This is where the real tension has been building. This is where the pressure you could not explain has been forming. Not in your environment, not in your circumstances, but in your thoughts, in the subtle shifts of your focus, in the quiet moments where your thinking begins to drift without you even noticing. And tonight, Archangel Michael is drawing your attention directly to it. Because what happens in your mind before sleep does not stay there. It multiplies. It deepens. It echoes through your spirit and shapes what you carry into the next day. And if there is confusion, doubt, or heaviness present in your thoughts when you close your eyes, it does not simply disappear with rest. It settles. It roots itself. It grows. That is why this warning came before you sleep. Think back to the last few nights. The thoughts that seemed to come out of nowhere. The overanalyzing. The replaying of conversations. The quiet doubts that slipped in when everything else went silent. You may have dismissed them as normal, as harmless, as just part of being tired. But they were not as nuclear as they seemed. Because not every thought that enters your mind belongs to you. This is something many people resist acknowledging. They assume every thought is their own, every feeling is self-generated, every mental shift is just part of their personality. But what if that is not entirely true? What if some of the thoughts you have been entertaining were not planted by you, but introduced to you? Not to control you, not to overwhelm you completely, but to influence you just enough that you begin to question your clarity, your peace, your direction. That is how subtle this battle is. It does not try to take everything at once. It only needs to introduce a small shift, a slight doubt, a quiet fear, a subtle distraction. And if you do not recognize it, you begin to build on it. You begin to follow it. You begin to carry it as if it were your own. And before you realize it, your mind is no longer a place of clarity. It becomes a place of conflict. This is what Archangel Michael is warning you about tonight. Because your mind is not meant to be a battlefield. It is meant to be a place of alignment. A place where truth settles, where peace remains steady, where clarity leads your steps. But when it is left unguarded, it becomes vulnerable to influence that does not serve your purpose. And the timing of that influence matters. Because right before sleep your mind is most open. Your defenses are lower. Your thoughts are slower. Your awareness softens. And whatever is present in that moment has a greater chance of embedding itself deeper than at any other time of the day. That is why this cannot be ignored. Because if you enter sleep carrying confusion, you risk waking up with it amplified. If you enter sleep holding on to doubt, you risk it shaping your perception when you rise. If you allow your thoughts to wander unchecked tonight, you may wake up feeling disconnected without understanding why. But you are not being left unprotected. Archangel Michael is not only warning you, he is positioning you. Positioning you to recognize the difference between what aligns with your spirit and what does not. Positioning you to pause before accepting every thought as truth. Positioning you to take back authority over what you allow to remain in your mind. Because you have more control here than you realize. You are not powerless in this space. You are not at the mercy of every passing thought. You have the ability to observe, to question, to redirect, to release. But that ability requires awareness. And tonight you are aware. So as you sit here, before sleep takes over, pay attention to what is moving through your mind. Not with fear, but with clarity. Notice what feels heavy. Notice what feels off. Notice what does not align with the peace you are meant to carry. And do not hold on to it. Do not entertain it. Do not carry it into your rest. Because your mind is not a place for confusion to settle. It is a place for peace to remain. And tonight, that peace is being protected. Archangel Michael's presence is not distant. It is active. Guarding not just your surroundings, but your thoughts. Standing between you and what is trying to disturb your clarity. But even with that protection, your awareness still matters. Because what you accept stays, and what you release loses its power. So release it now. Let your mind settle into stillness. Let your thoughts return to clarity. Because what do you get into the night with shape, what do you wake up to? Type "my mind is protected" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 4444 is now activated within your thoughts. Here is something you need to understand before you close your eyes tonight. Something that will shift the way you feel in this moment if you truly receive it. You are not alone in this night. Not in the stillness. Not in the silence. Not even in the moments where it feels like nothing is happening. Because while your physical surroundings may seem quiet and unchanged, there is a presence that has drawn near, and it has not come without purpose. Archangel Michael is not distant right now. He is not observing from afar, detached or uninvolved. His presence is intentional, positioned, and active in this very moment. And the reason he is near is not because something has gone wrong, but because something is being secured. You may not see it, but you have felt hints of it. A subtle shift in the atmosphere. That unexplainable calm that tried to settle over you, even while your thoughts were unsettled. That quiet sense that something was holding you in place, keeping you from rushing into sleep without awareness. That was not your imagination. That was presence. Because there are nights when heaven assigns protection differently. Not routine protection. Not passive covering. But intentional. Covers attention over a specific moment, a specific person, a specific concision. And tonight that attention is on you. This is not something to fear. It is something to understand. Because protection does not always look dramatic. It does not always come with visible signs or overwhelming experiences. Sometimes it comes as stillness. Sometimes it comes as interruption. Sometimes it comes as a message like this, delivered at the exact moment you needed to pause. And that is what this is. A pause created by presence. You were about to move into sleep unaware. You were about to carry your thoughts, your emotions, your mental state directly into the night without question. But something stopped that. Something slowed you down just enough to receive this moment. That is not coincidence. That is positioning. Archangel Michael's role is not only to fight battles you cannot see, but to stand guard over transitions, moments where movement is happening beneath the surface, where something is shifting from one state to another. And the transition into sleep is one of those moments. Because when you sleep, your body rests but your spirit does not become inactive. It becomes more open, more receptive, more sensitive to what is taking place beyond the physical. That is why presence matters tonight. Because not every night requires the same level of awareness, but this one does. There is something being established around you. Something being set into place that requires your spirit to enter rest in alignment, not distraction. And Archangel Michael is ensuring that alignment is not missed. You are being watched over, but not in a distant, passive way. You are being guarded with intention. There is a difference. Because passive protection waits for something to happen before responding. But intentional protection moves ahead of time. It positions itself before anything unfolds. It anticipates what could arise and ensures it never reaches you in a way that disrupts your peace. That is what is happening now. Something that could have disturbed you is being held back. Something that could have unsettled your thoughts is being intercepted. Something that could have influenced your rest is being blocked before it reaches you. But even with that protection, your awareness is still required. Because protection does not replace alignment. It supports it. You still have a role in this moment. Not to fight, not to struggle, but to recognize what is being done for you and to cooperate with it. To not rush into sleep with scattered thoughts. To not carry unnecessary weight into this night. To not ignore the stillness that has been placed around you. Because that stillness is not emptiness. It is preparation. Preparation for a night that is meant to be different. You may not fully understand what is being established. You may not see immediate evidence of what is shifting. But that does not change the reality of it. Something is being secured. Something is being aligned. Something is being protected. And you are at the center of it. Archangel Michael's presence tonight is not temporary. It is purposeful. It is there to ensure that what belongs to you is not disrupted, that what is being prepared is not interfered with, and that what you step into tomorrow is not clouded by what could have entered tonight. This is why you were told to open this message before you sleep. Because once you understand that you are not entering this night alone, everything changes. Your posture changes. Your thoughts settle. Your awareness sharpens. And your rest becomes something more than just physical recovery. It becomes part of a larger alignment. So as you prepare to close your eyes, remember this. You are not unguarded. You are not exposed. You are not stepping into this night without covering. There is a presence watching over you. A presence that does not sleep. A presence that does not drift. A presence that remains steady even when you rest. And because of that you can enter this night differently. Not in fear. Not in uncertainty. But in quiet confidence. Because what is watching over you tonight is not leaving. Type "I am guarded" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 5555 is now surrounding your night. There is something unsettling you need to recognize about this moment, and it may change the way you view everything that just happened. Because the truth is, this message was not guaranteed to reach you. It almost didn't. Not because it wasn't meant for you, not because it wasn't prepared, but because something tried to keep it from crossing your path at the exact moment you needed it most. And if you think back carefully, you will begin to notice it. The small distractions, the subtle delays, the almost missed timing that could have easily caused you to scroll past, to ignore, to postpone, to say, "I'll come back to this later." What you didn't. And that matters more than you realize. Because when something carries divine timing, resistance often appears quietly, not dramatically. It does not block you forcefully. It nudges you gently in another direction. It distracts your attention just enough. It shifts your focus slightly. It introduces something else that seems more urgent, more interesting, more immediate. And if you are not aware, you follow it. That is how easily alignment can be missed. That is how messages meant for you can pass by unnoticed. But tonight, something broke through that pattern. Despite the distractions, despite the timing, despite the moments where you could have chosen something else, you are here. And that is not something to overlook. Because what reached you had to reach you now, not earlier, not later, but in this exact window before you sleep. That precision matters. That timing matters. Because if this message had come after you slept, it would not have served its purpose. If it had come tomorrow, it would not have carried the same alignment. It had to meet you here, at this edge between awareness and rest, at this point where your mind is quiet enough to receive, but still conscious enough to understand. And the fact that you are here means something deeper than simple coincidence. It means you responded, even if you didn't fully realize it. Because something in you recognized the pull. That same pull you felt earlier. The one you could not explain. The one that made you pause. The one that made you open this instead of closing your eyes. That was not random curiosity. That was recognition. Recognition that something was trying to reach you. Recognition that this moment carried weight. Recognition that ignoring it would leave something incomplete. And that is why you stayed. Even if part of you was tired. Even if part of you was ready to sleep. Even if part of you questioned whether this really mattered. You stayed. And now you understand why. Because what you almost missed was not just a message. It was alignment. It was protection. It was positioning. It was the difference between entering this night unaware and entering it prepared. And that difference cannot be overstated. There are moments in life where missing something has no real consequence. Moments that pass without impact, without change, without significance. But there are also moments, rare, precise, intentional moments, where missing them shifts everything that follows. It was one of those moments. And you did not miss it. That matters. Because now you are not entering this night the same way you would have just a short while ago. Your awareness has shifted. Your thoughts have slowed. Your spirit has become more attentive. You are no longer moving through this moment unconsciously. You are present. And presence changes everything. It changes how you think. It changes what you carry. It changes what you allow. It changes what you release. And because of that, it changes what unfolds next. But there is something else you must understand. The same way this message almost didn't reach you, there will be other moments ahead where alignment will require the same level of awareness. Moments where something important will not announce itself loudly. Moments where the difference between receiving and missing will come down to whether you pause or continue moving without noticing. Tonight is showing you something. It is showing you that awareness is not accidental. It is chosen. You chose to stop. You chose to listen. You chose to receive. And because of that, you are now positioned differently. You are not behind. You are not late. You are exactly where you need to be. And what comes next will build on that. So take a moment and recognize this fully. You were not supposed to miss this. And you didn't. Type "I did not miss this" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 6666 is now activated around your awareness. There is something about to happen, and it will not wait for you to be fully conscious to begin. This is what makes this moment so critical. Because while your body prepares to rest, while your eyes prepare to close, while your physical awareness begins to fade into the quiet rhythm of sleep, something else begins to rise. Something that does not depend on your waking attention. Something that does not pause just because you are no longer alert. A shift. Not loud. Not dramatic. Not something that announces itself with noise or destruction. But a shift that moves beneath the surface, where your spirit is most receptive and your defenses are at their lowest. And tonight that shift is already forming. You may not fully understand it yet. You may not see clear evidence of it in your surroundings. But if you slow down and listen closely, you can feel the preparation of it. That subtle tension that has been building. That quiet anticipation that you could not explain. That sense that something is about to change, even if you cannot yet define what that change looks like. That is not imagination. That is awareness responding to movement. Because there are nights where sleep is simply rest, and then there are nights where sleep becomes a transition point. A moment where what has been building quietly begins to rearrange itself. Where things you could not resolve during the day begin to settle into clarity. Where what felt uncertain starts to realign without force. This is one of those nights. But here is what you must understand. The shift that happens while you sleep does not begin when you are fully asleep. It begins now. In this moment. In how you prepare. In what you carry. In what you release before your eyes close. Because what enters your rest influences what unfolds within it. If you enter this night holding on to tension, the tension travels with you. If you carry confusion, it echoes through your thoughts even in sleep. If your mind is scattered, your rest becomes unsettled. But if you enter this night aligned, if you enter with awareness, if you allow your thoughts to settle and your spirit to become still, then the shift that is forming will not meet resistance. It will move freely. This is why Archangel Michael has been guiding you step by step to this moment. Not to overwhelm you with information, but to prepare your internal state. To bring you into alignment so that what is about to happen does not pass through you unnoticed or incomplete. Because there are things that cannot be forced in waking life. There are answers that do not come through effort. There are realignments that only occur when you are still enough to receive them. And sleep, when entered correctly, becomes the space where those things can unfold. Tonight is not about trying to control what happens next. It is about allowing it. Allowing the shift to take place without interference. Allowing your spirit to receive what your conscious mind could not fully process during the day. Allowing what have been out of place to begin settling into its proper position. But that requires trust. Not blind trust, but aware trust. Trust that you are not entering this night unprepared. Trust that what hath been set in motion is not against you, but for you. Trust that the presence surrounding you is not passive, but active. Because the shift that is forming is not random. It has direction. It has purpose. It has timing. And that timing is now. You may wake up tomorrow and not immediately recognize what has changed. The shift may not appear as something obvious or immediate. But you will feel it, in the way your thoughts settle differently, in the way your perspective becomes clearer, in the way something that once felt heavy no longer carries the same weight. That is how these shifts work. Quiet, precise, effective. They do not need to announce themselves to be real. They only need to happen. And tonight it will. But only if you allow it. Only if you do not resist it by carrying what you were meant to release. Only if you do not disrupt it by entering sleep with scattered awareness. Only if you stay present long enough to recognize that this moment is not ordinary. Because you are not just going to sleep tonight. You are stepping into a transition. A movement from one state into another. From confusion into clarity. From tension into alignment. From uncertainty into quiet understanding. And that movement is already beginning. So do not rush this. Do not close your eyes carelessly. Do not treat this like any other night. Because it is not. The shift is forming. The alignment is beginning. And what happens while you sleep tonight will carry into what you wake up to. Type "I receive the shift" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 7777 is now activated over your night. There are many voices you have heard today. Some loud, some subtle, some external, some internal. Voices from conversations, from memories, from responsibilities, from expectations placed on you by others and even by yourself. And as the day moved forward, those voices layered over one another until it became difficult to separate what truly mattered from what simply filled space. But now in this quiet moment before sleep, something is happening. The noise is fading. The distractions are loosening their grip. And what remains is a smaller, quieter, more precise voice that does not compete for attention. It waits for it. This is the voice you must not ignore tonight. Because not every voice carries truth. Not every thought deserves agreement. Not every feeling requires your trust. And if you enter this night without discernment, you risk following the wrong voice into your rest and waking up with confusion that did not belong to you in the first place. This is why Archangel Michael is drawing your focus inward now. Not toward what is loud, but toward what is real. There is a difference. The loud voices demand your attention. They rush you. They pressure you. They repeat themselves until you begin to believe them simply because they are persistent. These are the voices that replay past situations, that exaggerate uncertainty, that create scenarios that have not even happened. They feel urgent, but they are not grounded. Then there is the quieter voice, the one that does not rush you, the one that does not overwhelm you, the one that speaks with calm clarity, even when everything else feels unsettled. That is the voice you must recognize, because that voice does not come from confusion. It comes from alignment. You have heard it before, even if you did not always follow it. It shows up as a knowing more than sentence, a steady awareness that something is right or something is not. It does not argue with you. It simply remains present, waiting for you to acknowledge it. And tonight it is speaking again. But here is the challenge. In moments like this, when your body is tired and your mind is transitioning into rest, it becomes easier to follow what is familiar rather than what is true. Familiar thoughts, familiar worries, familiar patterns, they try to take over because they have been repeated so often. But repetition does not make something correct. It only makes it easier to believe. This is where your awareness becomes essential. Because before you close your eyes, you must choose which voice you will carry into this night. Will you carry the voice of doubt or the voice of clarity? Will you follow the noise of overthinking or the stillness of understanding? Will you allow familiar confusion to guide you, or will you align with what your spirit already knows is true? This choice may seem small, but it is not. Because the voice you follow now will shape how your mind settles, how your spirit rests, and how your thoughts form when you wake up. Archangel Michael is not asking you to silence every thought. He is asking you to discern them, to recognize that not everything that enters your mind deserves to stay there, to understand that you are not required to agree with every internal voice that speaks. You have the authority to choose, and tonight the choice matters. Take a moment now and listen, not to the noise that rushes in, not to the thoughts that feel chaotic or heavy, but to the quieter presence beneath it all, the one that feels steady, the one that does not pressure you, the one that aligns with peace, even if it challenges what you have been thinking. That is the voice you must follow, because that voice will not lead you into confusion. It will not pull you into fear. It will not distort what is being prepared for you. It will guide you into rest that is aligned, clear, and undisturbed. And that is exactly what is needed tonight. You are not meant to enter this night divided. You are not meant to carry conflicting thoughts into your rest. You are meant to settle into clarity before you sleep, because clarity carries differently. It does not rush. It does not demand. It simply remains steady and invites you to follow. So follow it now. Let the noise fall away. Let the unnecessary thoughts lose their hold. Let your awareness return to what feels true, grounded, and clear. Because once you choose the right voice, everything else begins to settle, and your rest becomes what it was meant to be. Type "I follow the right voice" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 8888 is now activated within your discernment. As this clarity settles within you, understand this: when you help this message reach another soul, you are planting light where confusion once ruled. This is not about giving to a platform. It is about releasing a seed that heaven uses to awaken someone else before their moment passes. The word speaks directly into this act. Whoever sows generously will also reap generously. And this is not distant truth. It is alive in your decision right now. I feel this strongly. When you act, you become part of the flow that carries divine clarity into hidden places. The PayPal link in the description and the QR code on your screen are not just options. They are opportunities to respond in alignment. What you release today becomes part of a greater movement that heaven multiplies beyond what you can see. Step forward without hesitation. Sow with purpose, and let your action echo in lives you may never meet, but heaven fully knows. There is something you must see clearly before you close your eyes tonight. Something that has been quietly forming, not to confront you directly but to pull you out of alignment without you even realizing it. It is not obvious. It does not announce itself. It does not come as something you would immediately reject. It comes as a trap disguised as something familiar. And its target is not your actions. It is your peace. Because if your peace is disturbed, your clarity begins to weaken. If your clarity weakens, your discernment becomes clouded. And if your discernment is clouded, you begin to accept what you would normally recognize and reject. That is how subtle this is. You have already encountered traces of it. Moments where something small triggered a deeper reaction than expected. Thoughts that seemed harmless at first but slowly pulled your focus away from calm and into tension. Situations that replayed in your mind longer than they should have, draining your energy without resolution. At the time, it did not feel like a trap. It felt like something worth thinking about, something worth analyzing, something worth revisiting. But now you are being shown what it really is. Because not everything that holds your attention deserves it. And not everything that feels important in the moment is aligned with your peace. This is where the trap becomes effective. It does not force you into chaos. It invites you into it. It presents a thought. It offers a scenario. It introduces a question. And then it waits. If you engage with it, it deepens. If you follow it, it expands. If you carry it into your rest, it settles into your spirit. And by the time you wake up, it feels real enough to influence your entire state of mind. That is how peace is slowly replaced without confrontation. Archangel Michael is revealing this now because tonight, this pattern is trying to repeat itself. Here is an opening, a moment where your mind is more vulnerable, a point where a single thought, if entertained, could shift your internal state before you sleep. And if you are not aware, you will walk into it. But now you are aware, and awareness breaks the trap before it fully forms. You do not need to fight it. You do not need to analyze it. You only need to recognize it and refuse to carry it forward. Because the power of this trap depends entirely on your agreement. Without your attention, it weakens. Without your focus, it fades. Without your engagement, it has no place to settle. That is why this moment is so important. Because right now, before you sleep, you still have full awareness of what is moving through your mind. You can still choose what stays and what leaves. You can still recognize what aligns with peace and what subtly pulls you away from it. And once you recognize it, the decision becomes simple. You release it. Not because you fully understand it. Not because you have resolved it. But because you refuse to let it take space in a moment that is meant for alignment. Peace is not something that happens by accident. It is something that is protected through awareness. And tonight that protection is active. But it is not automatic. It requires your cooperation. You must decide that your rest will not be disturbed by unnecessary thoughts. You must decide that your mind will not become a place where confusion settles. You must decide that what tries to pull you out of alignment will not be carried into your sleep. Because if you allow even a small disturbance to remain, it can grow quietly while you are unaware. But if you release it now, it ends here. This is the moment where the pattern stops. This is the moment where peace is chosen intentionally. This is the moment where you refuse to step into something that was never meant to follow you. Archangel Michael is not just warning you. He is standing between you and what is trying to disturb you. But even with that protection, your awareness is the final key. Because what you reject cannot stay, and what you refuse to carry cannot affect what unfolds next. So let it go now. Whatever thought tried to linger, whatever feeling tried to pull you in, whatever scenario tried to replay, release it, because it does not belong in your rest. And it does not belong in what you are stepping into next. Your peace is not fragile. It is protected. But tonight it must also be chosen. Type "My peace remains" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 9999 is now surrounding your spirit. Something is happening around you in this very moment, not after you sleep, not later tonight, not tomorrow, but right now. And if you are still enough to recognize it, you will realize that this is not just preparation anymore. This is activation. Because everything that has been spoken to you up until this point has been leading here to a moment where protection is no longer just promised, but established. Not in theory, not in hope, but in real, active alignment around your life. Archangel Michael does not delay when it comes to protection. He does not wait for disruption to appear before he responds. He moves ahead of it. He positions himself before anything can reach you. And tonight, that positioning is taking place with precision. You may not see it, but something has already shifted in your environment. The atmosphere around you is not the same as it was before you opened this message. There has been a quiet strengthening, a reinforcement, a covering placed over your space, over your mind, over your rest. And it is not symbolic, it is intentional. Because something that could have reached you tonight will not. Something that could have unsettled your peace has been stopped. Something that could have entered your thoughts has been intercepted. This is what activated protection looks like. It does not always feel dramatic. It does not always announce itself with visible change. But it works. It holds. It secures. And it ensures that what is meant for you is not disrupted by what is not. This is why you were guided step by step to this moment. Not just to understand, but to align. Because protection is strongest when it meets awareness. When you recognize what is being done for you, you naturally move in agreement with it. You stop resisting it. You stop carrying what it is trying to remove. You stop reopening what it is trying to close. And that is what is happening now. There are things being closed around you. Doors that once allowed certain thoughts, certain emotions, certain patterns to pass through. Those doors are no longer open in the same way. Not because you forced them shut, but because protection has stepped in and sealed them. This is not loss. This is preservation. Because what is being prepared for you cannot coexist with what those doors allowed. And Archangel Michael knows that. So instead of waiting for you to struggle through it, he intervenes. He positions himself. He activates protection before interference has a chance to take form. But here is what you must understand. Activated protection is not something you question. It is something you trust. Because doubt weakens your alignment with it. If you begin to question whether you are protected, you shift your focus away from the protection itself and toward the possibility of vulnerability. And that is not where your awareness needs to be tonight. You are not being left exposed. You are not entering this night unguarded. You are not responsible for fighting what you cannot see. That is not your role. Your role is alignment. To remain still. To remain aware. To not carry what has already been removed. To not reopen what has already been closed. Because protection does not work against you. It works with you. And right now it is active. You may feel it as a subtle calm. A quiet steadiness settling in. A sense that something has shifted even if you cannot fully explain how. That is confirmation. Not loud. Not overwhelming. But real. Because protection often arrives as peace. And that peace is not accidental. It is placed around your thoughts so they do not wander into confusion. Placed around your rest so it is not disturbed. Placed around your spirit so it remains aligned with what is being prepared. This is why you do not need to force anything tonight. You do not need to overthink. You do not need to search for answers. You do not need to anticipate what might happen. Because what needs to happen is already being handled. And what needs to be prevented has already been addressed. So allow yourself to settle into that. Allow yourself to release any remaining tension. Allow yourself to trust that you are not stepping into uncertainty. You are stepping into protection that is already in place. Because what is activated now will carry through the night. It will remain steady while you rest. It will hold its position while you are unaware. It will continue working even when your eyes are closed. And when you wake up you will not be where you were. Because protection does more than guard. It preserves your path forward. And tonight your path is being secured. Type I am covered in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1010 is now activated around your life. You have reached a moment that feels quiet but carries more weight than anything that came before it. Because everything you have heard, everything you have felt, everything that has been revealed to you up to this point is now narrowing into one simple but powerful reality. You must choose. Not a loud choice, not a dramatic decision, but a quiet, internal alignment that will determine how you step into tomorrow. Because whether you realize it or not, tomorrow is not shaped when you wake up. It is shaped right now, in the moments before you sleep. This is where most people misunderstand the process. They believe tomorrow begins in the morning. They believe clarity comes after rest. They believe peace will arrive once a new day starts. But what they do not see is that tomorrow is formed in the unseen hour built from what is carried into the night. And tonight, you are being given the awareness to choose differently. You are not being asked to solve everything. You are not being asked to understand every detail. You are not being asked to control what happens next. You are being asked to choose what you carry forward and what you leave behind. Because what you carry continues, and what you release ends here. That is the simplicity of this moment. And yet, it is also its power. You have already been shown what does not belong. The thoughts that tried to linger. The distractions that almost pulled you away. The subtle tension that attempted to settle into your mind. The white trap that tried to disturb your peace. You have seen it. You have recognized it. And now you must decide. Will you carry it with you into this night or will you leave it here? Because this is the point where awareness becomes action. Where knowing becomes choosing. Where preparation becomes alignment. Archangel Michael has not guided you this far just for you to return to old patterns at the final moment. He has brought you here so that you can stand in clarity and make a decision that shifts your direction. Not through force, not through effort, but through awareness. Because the most powerful changes are not always loud. Sometimes they happen in silence. Sometimes they happen in a single moment where you choose differently than you did before. And that is what this is. A moment where you can step out of repetition and into alignment. You do not need to carry yesterday's weight into tomorrow. You do not need to bring unresolved tension into your rest. You do not need to hold on to thoughts that have already been shown to you as misaligned. You can release them now, completely, without hesitation, without overthinking, because holding on to them does not protect you. It delays you, and you are not meant to be delayed. You are meant to move forward. But forward movement requires a clean transition, a moment where what is no longer needed is left behind so that what is coming next can arrive without interference. This is that moment, and it is yours to respond to. And no one else can make this choice for you, and no one else can carry it for you. It is internal. It is quiet, but it is real. Because the way you enter this night will shape the way you rise from it. If you enter with clarity, you will wake with it. If you enter with peace, it will remain. If you enter aligned, tomorrow will meet you differently. But if you carry what you were meant to release, it follows. That is why this matters. That is why this moment is not to be rushed. That is why you were stopped before sleep. Because this is the turning point. Not visible, not obvious, but significant. And now, as you stand here, fully aware, fully present, fully positioned, the choice is in front of you. Not complicated, not confusing. Clear. Release or carry, line or repeat. Step forward or stay where you will. And deep down, you already know the answer. So choose it now, without delay, without hesitation, Because tomorrow is already forming and your choice in this moment is shaping it. Type "I choose alignment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1111 is now activated over your tomorrow. This is the final moment. Not the end of the message, but the point where everything you have received must now settle into action. Because what began as a call, what moved as a warning, what revealed itself through awareness is now arriving at its conclusion. A command. Not force. Not loud. But clear. Archangel Michael does not leave things unfinished. He does not guide you into awareness without bringing you to a place of decision. And now that you have seen, now that you have felt, now that you understand what this night carries, you cannot return to unconscious movement. You cannot close your eyes the same way you would have before. Because you know too much now. You have seen the importance of this moment. You have felt the shift forming. You have recognized the voices, the traps, the patterns that almost followed you into this night. And you have been shown the protection, the presence, and the alignment available to you. So now the instruction is simple, but it must be followed. Do not enter this night casually. Do not close your eyes without intention. Do not drift into sleep carrying anything that does not belong to your peace. Because tonight is not just about rest. It is about sealing what hath been established. Everything that has been activated, your awareness, your protection, your clarity, it must now be sealed through your alignment, through your decision to step into rest with intention instead of distraction. This is where many people lose what they were given. They receive clarity and then ignore it. They feel alignment and then rush past it. They are positioned and then return to habit. But you are not doing that tonight. You are not returning to unconscious patterns. You are not allowing this moment to pass without response. You are sealing it. Sealing it by choosing stillness. Sealing it by releasing what does not belong. Sealing it by entering sleep with clarity instead of confusion. Because when something is sealed properly, it cannot be undone easily. It holds. It remains. It carries forward. And that is what must happen now. Archangel Michael's final instruction is not complicated, but it carries authority. Enter your rest in alignment, and what has been prepared will meet you without resistance. This is the difference between ordinary rest and aligned rest. Ordinary rest recovers your body. Aligned rest restores your direction. Ordinary rest passes time. Aligned rest prepares movement. And tonight you are not being led into something ordinary. You are being led into something intentional. So as you prepare to close your eyes, do it differently. Slow down. Do not rush this moment. Let your thoughts settle completely. Let your mind return to stillness. Let your spirit rest in the awareness that you are not stepping into this night alone, unprepared, or uncertain. You are stepping into it aligned. You are stepping into it protected. You are stepping into it with clarity that was given to you at the exact moment you needed it. And because of that, tomorrow will not meet you the same way. Something will feel different. Even if you cannot explain it immediately. Even if the change is subtle. It will be there. Because alignment always carries forward. This is the final moment before sleep. The final instruction before rest. The final opportunity to enter this night the way you were meant to. So take it seriously. Not with fear, but with awareness. Because what you do right now matters. And it will follow you into what comes next. Type "I enter" aligned in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 1212 is now sealed over your night. As this final command settles into your spirit, understand this truth. Every time this message reaches another soul before their moment of decision, a life is redirected toward light instead of confusion. This is not about supporting a voice. This is about advancing a divine assignment that heaven is actively using to awaken hearts. God is speaking even now. As you sow, so shall you reap, not as a distant promise, but as a living exchange unfolding in this very moment. I feel this clearly. This is your moment to act, to step into obedience, to become part of the flow that carries truth into unseen places. The PayPal link in the description and the QR code on your screen are not just features, they are divine access points placed before you. What you release now becomes a seed that multiplies into clarity, protection, and awakening for someone else. Do not delay this response. Move now, sow now, and let heaven respond to your obedience with increase beyond what you can imagine.